It has been 9 months since my last video. I have noticed that I'm still getting quite a few comments on my old videos. People asking how things are going, how did my taper go. But 9 months since my last video, and I thought, enough has happened to me over the last 9 months that why not make another video? And I've kind of started a new journey as well, but we'll get into that afterwards. So, first off, a little bit of backstory. I was addicted to pretty much anything you could smoke. And so I had decided that I was going to make a change in my life. And the first thing I did was I went to my doctor and I said, look, I don't want to quit cold turkey. Is there anything what's out there that can help me? And so she introduced me to Suboxone. And then I got into a vehicle accident. Maybe I'll post a picture of the vehicle that I was in. Brain my neck, crushed my chest plate, broke my collarbone. I was pretty banged up. And because I was on Suboxone, they couldn't give me morphine or anything like that for the pain. So what they did was they bumped me up to like 30 milligrams of Suboxone. And I stayed at 30 milligrams for quite a long time. So I did, and I have videos on this. I have videos about my truck crash. I have videos about my Suboxone taper. I have videos about absolutely everything. And it's actually interesting going back and looking at some of these old videos and seeing almost the state that I was in. I was in this like foggy, fuzzy state, obviously not realizing it at the time, but even people have commented like, man, you look like you were whacked out. Well, I was, because I was on a lot of Suboxone, and it does do that to you. I tapered from 30 milligrams all the way down to 2 milligrams over the course of 2 years. And then I dropped off at 2 milligrams and went cold turkey. And then that was like the most difficult month of my life. It was a good 2 months before I started to even feel like I could get out and start running and stuff like that. It really was a long, drawn out process, but it was the first 2 weeks that were the absolute hardest. The first 3 days were almost, I cried. I will say that now I have been clean off any street drugs for 2.5 years, and I've now been off Suboxone for a year. Getting off the Suboxone, my choice to do that was because I didn't want to be addicted to anything. I wanted to have my freedom back. I did go to rehab for 3 months. I will say that 3 months of rehab was probably the best decision I had ever made in my life. 3 months out of the rest of your life is such a short period of time. My quality of life has definitely improved. Last year, in one of my videos, somebody had mentioned that I seemed really out of breath while I was talking, and that maybe I should start worrying. Now that I've kind of taken care of some issues, maybe it's time to start working on my health. So I went kind of crazy with that. I'm 5'10", and at that time I was like 230 pounds. So and my excuse for getting that heavy was, well, I'm not doing drugs, so I can eat this entire cake. That was my excuse for being incredibly unhealthy. And that only lasts for so long. And then you have to start being accountable. So I went from 230 down to like 195 or something like that. And it took 7 months. Then winter comes along, and I gained pretty much all the weight back. Last month, I weighed 217 pounds. I started tracking my weight February 4th. And on February 4th, I'd already gotten myself down to 213 pounds. So I dropped 4 pounds. And as soon as you see any improvement in your weight, it's like, okay, I can do this, right? Like, I've never managed to keep the weight off before. I always lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, and I'll get super healthy and it'll be super obsessive about it. But I had never done any research. I had never, just like getting clean. It wasn't until I went to rehab and gained a bunch of knowledge about the root cause to my addiction, and just really got informed as to what was going on, that I was able to, it's like you can fine tune your recovery and really start to see it in a different light. And it's the same with getting healthy and losing weight. Learning about being in a calorie deficit, learning about macros, learning how to fine tune your macros, learning about what type of exercise is best and which types of exercises you're really just kind of spinning your wheels. So you really have to sift through the information and put together a plan that's going to work for you. Today, I'm 206 pounds. So I've lost 11 pounds since my 213-pound weigh-in. I've managed to do that over the course of 5 weeks. So I'm losing weight at a very healthy rate. I'm not overdoing it like I have in the past. Staying at a caloric deficit, and I use MyFitnessPal. That was something that I saw come up on YouTube channels all the time. People talking about how they were tracking their caloric intake with MyFitnessPal. So not only does it help me track my calories, but it also gets my brain thinking a certain way. So I look at food differently, and the meals that I cook, because I'm scanning barcodes and looking at the macros, tracking my calories and my macros has changed my shopping list, and it's changed the way I make my meals. So I'm trying to stick with all whole foods, lots of broccoli, lots of spinach, lots of chicken, a little bit of red meat, fish. There's carbs in everything. If you're not careful, it's so easy to go over on your daily amount of carbs. And I'm really finding that tough. And I'm not trying to be no carbs. I'm just trying to be lower carbs than I would normally be. You can fine tune and you can work that out. So one of the struggles that I definitely had in the first few weeks of being at a caloric deficit was hunger pains and craving. And the cravings were just unreal. And I found the best thing to do was to try to stay busy during that time. I had to get rid of that mindset that it's my weight that matters, because it's not. It's my lifestyle that needs to change and my relationship with food. YouTube has answers, right? Like, I've gone to YouTube for so many things over the course of the last 3 years, whether it was finding information on Suboxone and how it works, to using it as a outlet for me to kind of create a bit of a community where we all sort of gave each other positive feedback and watched each other's videos during the recovery process. Now I thought, well, why not use it to get healthy, right? Life is easier when you don't have to hold your breath to put your socks on, is something that keeps kind of running through my head. Right now, I still have to kind of hold my breath to put my socks on. That's how big my belly has gotten. And I don't know if I'll put a picture before. Maybe I will. Why not? I mean, I'll probably put a picture of my what my physique and my weight on this day. Why didn't I make a video for 9 months? You know, I made a lot of videos. I don't know, I was self-conscious or something, and I just didn't want to put a video up because I felt self-conscious, I suppose. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of keep the camera on me for most of the day, and then I'll spend a few days editing out and see what type of video I can kind of put together, and then we'll see how that turns out through editing afterwards.